It's my very great pleasure to introduce Lalith Abisena, who is the Chief Operating Officer at Diabetes Victoria. So welcome, Lalith, and thank you very much for spending time with us today.
Thank you, Jennifer, for giving us the opportunity to talk to you about our digital transformation. And we are very excited to share our journey with you today.
Thank you. Well, look, I'd really like to start off by exploring some of the challenges that the pandemic really brought to Diabetes Victoria's membership.
We are a member-based organization, and we represent all Victorians living with diabetes and those who are at high risk. And there are 350,000 people living with diabetes in the state of Victoria, and there are about roughly 150,000, who are at high risk. So we have been managing the National Diabetes Services Scheme for people living with diabetes for the past 25 years or so. So our primary focus during the pandemic was to make sure that Diabetes Victoria as an organization was there to assist people during the pandemic and actually make sure that we have regular communication with them and to send the message across to them to say that we are here to help no matter what. The other thing actually that we did very effectively was we were actually in the process of embarking on a digital by default strategy. We embarked on that prior to the pandemic, right? And so much so that we take our business continuity plan very seriously, and year on year we do a rehearsal with an external consultant present when we carry out the business continuity plan. And so much so that back in February 2020, we carried out the last business continuity plan that was 1 month prior to the pandemic actually coming into full force. And with several rehearsals that we had carried out over the years, we were pretty certain that within 24 hours, we were able to, operate remotely without affecting our business model. Rehearsing them and putting them into practice is certainly a different ballgame altogether.
Absolutely. That was enormously fortuitous that you did that rehearsal right before the lockdown started across the world. Wow. And really strong governance practices to make sure that these things are executable and ready to go when needed.
In fact, we thrive on strong governance. That is actually one thing that we really thrive on as an organization. So with that, what we did was actually in March, within 24 hours, we have a call center which is a 48-seat call center. All our agents were operating remotely without affecting our service delivery. In fact, during the pandemic, our service delivery went up to 96%, and pre-pandemic it was around the 94% mark. That is purely because of the fact that we have all the bells and whistles that Salesforce we have created within our own platform, within the Salesforce platform, which is actually the world's best CRM system as far as we are concerned. And we have been very fortunate to partner with Salesforce and Data Colada as well, who has been our implementation partner over the years. We have had a long-standing relationship with Data Colada. So now, having a digital by default strategy is one thing, but you've got to take your customer on that journey as well. When you look at our member demographics, our average age of a member is roughly 70 years, right? So whilst it is 70 years, this day and age, 70-year-old is fairly tech savvy in the sense that they all can use a telephone effectively and have basic computer skills. If this happened back in year 1995, it would have been a different story altogether. So with the Salesforce platform that we have established, and with the communication preference center that we have already in place, we know how we needed to communicate. We knew how we needed to communicate with our constituents. So all our touch points are synchronized. What we did was, in the height of the pandemic, we pushed out SMSs, emails, and even hard mail to those who didn't really want accuracy, anything by way of text messages or emails, to ensure that fundamental message we gave to them was, we are there to help. We have the national helpline. They can call us 7 days a week. And that, plus the social media, we were very active in the social media space on Instagram, Facebook, and all of that. So that certainly helped us to communicate effectively with our members, and members knew that there was this care factor, and members knew that if they didn't embrace technology, they would be left behind. So the transition from a member point of view, we were able to fast track that digital by default strategy as well during the pandemic. So one of the other things actually that we supply as a value proposition is to provide them with face-to-face events, and that was a challenge.
Mm.
And our signature event, Jennifer, is Diabetes Expo event, where roughly about 5,000 people attend for that event on the day. So we had to be innovative. What we did was, we said we are going to still have that Diabetes Expo event digitally. And there was a lot of accuracy concern raised, with the participation rates and costs associated with that and whatnot. And to our surprise, there were 3,000 people who attended on the day, and the feedback that we received from them was tremendous.
Well, congratulations to transition from a 5,000 in person to a 3,000 digital experience with great feedback. That's really fantastic, and must also leave your members with the way that you use social media and text messaging and all of these different channels to get information to them. Must have left them feeling very well supported by Diabetes Victoria.
With Salesforce, we have done the profiling of the members. So we send targeted messages, right messages to the right cohort. And in order for us to be able to do that, that's actually the real value proposition for the members, because there are several people living with, there are certain types of diabetes, type 1, type 2, and gestational. We can't send type 1 related diabetes material to people living with type 2. It's not relevant. We was very strategic in terms of introducing webinars to our members and to people living with diabetes. So we had actually implemented that a couple of years ago. So once again, pandemic was an opportunity for us. What we did was, the participation rates actually quadrupled. It is now actually about 2,000 people who participate on a webinar, right? And not only that, actually, when we send invitations out to people to participate on a webinar, we make sure, whether they register or don't, we edit the webinar, we do a quality check, and then we push out that webinar link to every single participant, so that they could actually go through, participate in the webinar at their leisure. So that was another change actually that we introduced, right? And now I'm very pleased to say that every week we hold a webinar session.
That's fantastic. I mean, that really is fantastic. The having that foundation in place and having that, fortuitously before the pandemic, really did set you up for success then, when you had to respond very quickly to digital only type of communications. So that's great, and those engagement rates are fantastic as well on webinars. To get a couple of thousand people engaged is brilliant. So congratulations. Tell me, with your that journey, I guess, so around digital transformation, what were some of the things that you really learnt, or might even have done differently through your implementation journey, and then I guess as you started to release more capability?
As I said earlier, we were the very first NFP in Australia to implement Salesforce. And during that time, Salesforce didn't have NFP success packs and all of that. So we had to do quite a lot of development work to prepare, cater for the needs, to meet the needs of our organization. So we spent fair amount of money. I would say an investment of about 1.2 million to 1.5 million dollars over the years. But I'm very pleased to say that our payback period on that investment was less than 2 years. Everything else, change management, we handled particularly well. We actually see to, it's a journey that we really need to embark on. We had a clear roadmap to make sure that we couldn't move from 19 databases to a single source of truth in 1 year. It had to be over a period of time. You got to make sure that all your employees within the organization, from board right down to the lowest level of employee, embrace technology and embrace a new way of doing business, which is far more efficient and effective than what we have been doing in the past.
Yeah, that's great. Some really important best practices there around a single source of truth from a data perspective, to a clear roadmap, and that executive support top down throughout the organization. Really, really great best practices that you've been able to leverage to be successful.
Indeed. And not only that, actually, see, we were essentially a transaction-based organization in the past, right? We had, for example, to manage, we had only 15,000 members back in year 2012, right? Today, it's nearly threefold, right? And to manage 15,000 members and our fundraising arm, we had 12 administrative staff back then.
Okay.
Today, I'm very pleased to say, with all the bells and whistles that we have created, state of the art technology that we have as an NFP organization, we have half a FTE to manage all of that activity. So that tells you a story. So we have actually moved away from being a transaction-based organization to a member-based organization, engaging more with the members, making sure that we understand the needs of the members and catering for the needs of the members, and not making assumptions, based on what their needs, you see.
And that customer centricity is fantastic, and your contact center being able, your contact preferences, being able to capture that and then respond to that is very powerful. So then, I guess, is there anything that you would recommend to other organizations, other member organizations, about some of the learnings that you discovered along the way that you would like to share?
First thing that they need to do, in my opinion, is actually embrace technology, right? So once you actually make that decision organization wide, you got to make sure that it filters right through from the very top to the bottom, and you got to have a change management plan and a strategy in place, so that you communicate that message consistently, right, to at all meetings that you have. And so you take the employees on that journey to make sure, give them the reasons why we are doing that, right, and make sure that you achieve significant efficiencies. Disregard the way you do business currently. That was one of the key things that was central to our success story. We said, we're not interested in knowing how we did business in the past. Let us see how we should do business moving forward, and what needed to be done in order to achieve that. That was actually the biggest a success story as far as Diabetes Victoria is concerned. So you got to, any other organization who wants to embrace change, you got to disregard how you do business. There may be certain components of it that you need to actually take with you, but if you start from where you are and try to make changes, you will end up changing a platform, not necessarily the processes and the way you do business.
Yeah, I really hear you on that, and it's a great opportunity when you're going through this to challenge some of the ways you did things in the past, and use that digital transformation as a way to innovate how you do business in the future.
Indeed.
Thank you very much. Well, Laila, thank you. I've really enjoyed hearing your story. It's really fantastic what you've been able to achieve for your members and for the broader community, and how Salesforce has been able to play a part of that. So thank you very much again for your time, and enjoy the rest of the journey that Diabetes Victoria is embarking on.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity, Jennifer, for us to share our success story with you, and perhaps with the wider, community or organizations. Thank you so much once again.